I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be being your own worst enemy. And we're going to talk about limiting beliefs, having a pessimistic outlook on life, and always looking for things to not work out for you and how it can affect you. Because I got an email here from a guy who claims he's doing everything that I teach, but he still can't get past the second date. And after glancing over his email here for a second, I see some things that have caused him that he's fucking up on. But there's some real subtle things. I mean, because look at it this way. If you think you're a steaming pile of dog dung when you go out on a date with a woman, even though you go through all the motions and you say the right things and use the techniques and the strategies, your body language and your physiology and the tone of your voice is going to be communicating that you think you're the world's biggest loser. And so your words and your actions and your energy are not going to be congruent, and that's going to cause a woman to feel wishy-washy, even though if you end up making out with her and you seemingly walk away and think, hey, I had a great date. And so he says, hey, Coach, awesome information on your website. It's helped me a ton. This is kind of embarrassing to even write this, but I need help. Recently, I've kind of felt like I've hit rock bottom. I've read through your book, and I would say you can't just read through the book one time and glance over it, because human beings only retain about 10% of what we read and see the first time we see and read it. And so, like I say in my book, you've got to go through it 10 to 15 times to the point where you literally learn the information so well you don't have to think about it anymore. Because if you've just been through it one time, you got maybe 10% of what was in there. And so when you go out on your dates, you're still probably doing 90% of the stuff wrong that you were doing before, and you've only maybe gotten about 10% of it that you're no longer doing, which has enabled you to now get dates, which is what was, obviously you were probably having a hard time with it in the past. He says, I've watched many of your videos multiple times. I've applied what you teach as well. I don't know if it's just the type of women I'm dating or what. You could be going out with women that won't really have a high level of interest in you to start with too. But because there's women that'll go out with you because it's better than staying at home doing anything, because they figure, hey, maybe they'll meet one of your friends or they'll meet somebody out when they're on a date with you. I mean, when I was unsuccessful with women, that happened to me a number of times. I remember one in particular, I was out on a date, and I came back from taking a piss break, and I had taken this girl to a nice sushi restaurant, and I probably had maybe a $50 bar tab at that point, so I was probably, and it was a nice place, so I was probably like $120 at that point, and I see her sliding her number over to this other dude as I'm coming back from the bathroom, and I was just totally fucking clueless at the time. I had fucked up so many things on the date prior to that, and she didn't really like me to start out with, and I ignored that because I really liked the girl. And hey, she got, a nice belly full of sushi. She got entertained. She had some nice drinks, and she met a really cool guy when she was on the date with me. And that's just the way my dating life used to go before I learned all of this stuff. He says, I'm starting to think I'm either ugly or doing something really wrong with women. I would say you're definitely doing something wrong, and it's not obviously that you're ugly, because women, the most attractive thing that women find attractive about a guy is confidence. And what is confidence? Confidence is simply doing what you know how to do and doing it really, really well. He says, I'm 32 now, but when I was younger, I would have a date here and there, and I've had a few relationships in my life, but the vast majority of dates would end up with me liking her and her disappearing after the first date or turning me down beforehand. And I would say you're probably approaching a lot of women that you don't have any interest in, because your overriding belief is that you're ugly and you don't deserve what you want. And so more than likely, you probably ignore the women that you got a chance with, and you tend to probably pursue the ones that are kind of ignoring you, or they're not really that into you. And you kind of gloss over that and you ignore that kind of shit like it's not a problem, because you want what you want, right? But deep down, you think you don't deserve what you want. And so what's happening is you're interacting mostly with women that you really don't have a chance with, and that's part of your problem. He says, I was basically the nice guy back then, and I understood why this was happening at that point. Now, I've really become the man I think I should be, but the same shit still happens. I'm confident, funny, successful, a challenge, and they really seem to open up to me. All of my friends think I'm very successful with women, when I'm actually not at all. Women I know as friends have told me that I have a really good understanding of women as well, and are amazed that I'm not married yet. And probably also one of the things you're doing is when you're out with women that you really like, you're probably acting differently than you do when you're out with women you're really not that into. I've dated quite a few women this year. Some of them I met in person, some of them I met online. With a few exceptions, I wanted to at least try a second date with these women. I almost wish I could send a video of how I act on dates because I believe I follow what you lay out almost step by step. Like I said, if your overriding belief is it's just a matter of time before you get rejected, you've already lost, dude. Because even though you might be saying and doing the right things that I talk about in my book, your body language, your physiology, and the tone of your voice is communicating the exact opposite. I always try to be a challenge. I'm a gentleman to an extent. I do forget the car door and chairs at dinner sometimes, though. I'm very playful and can make any woman laugh the whole evening. I'm not bashful at all, and I have no problems making moves on dates. I say 3 to 5 dates, 3 out of 5 dates will end in a kiss or prolonged makeout. I don't call them right afterwards. I'll wait 3 to 5 days, and either they will disappear or get really busy all of a sudden, or I'll get one of the classic blow-offs. I've almost come to expect to get voicemail when calling a woman. So send her a text. The idea is, like what I talk about in my book, the idea is not to fucking follow it like a robot. I mean, in my book, I start out using a lot of techniques and a lot of strategies that I use to be able to recognize the difference between a woman I had a chance with and a woman I didn't. But by the end of the book, you see that I'm at the place where I literally just walk up to a woman when I feel there's a connection there, and I make a date on the spot. And it's like I talked about in my book, my girlfriend Katie that I spoke about. I mean, we were at a seminar for 5 days, and she lived in the UK. So I couldn't wait several days to call her for a date or any of that bullshit because I had gotten past all of that. The idea of using my strategies and techniques is just to get you to the point where you have experiences and you can, so you don't have to always follow it like a complete robot. The idea is it gets you to the point where you're fearless, where you don't give a damn whether or not a woman likes you. And like this particular woman I wrote about, Katie, I looked in her eyes and she looked in mine, and I made a date on the spot. When I met her, we couldn't have talked more than 60 seconds total. So from the time of saying hello till the time I had a date and walked away, because we were going to meet the next night at the same restaurant, I was on my way out of the restaurant at this resort we were staying at, and she was waiting to be sat. And so I talked to her for like 60 seconds, maybe even less than that, I don't know. And I made a time to get together for dinner. And I said, if you get here first, get a table. And if I get here first, I'll get a table. And she's like, great. And so when the seminar ended the next day, or the day's activities ended, we met at the restaurant. And it was great. I looked forward to it. And I'd seen her at the seminar that day, and I'd waved to her. And actually, you know what? I did not see her at the seminar the whole day. There was like 5,000 people there. But the bottom line is she showed up because she wanted to see me, and she was looking forward to it. But I could tell there was a connection, and she knew there wasn't, so there was no holding back. And so that night we were already fooling around together. And throughout the week, it's like every day we were together from that moment forward, it's like everybody was like, how long you guys been together? I'm like, we just met yesterday. And it just blew people's mind because we were holding hands and we were kissing, we were lovey-dovey like boyfriend, girlfriend, like we were just together. It's just that's the best way I can describe it. We were just together. I didn't hold back, and she didn't hold back. And like when you get to that place in your life where you don't hold back, you just go for what you want. When you come across a woman who knows what she wants and is a good communicator and who understands men as well, it's effortless. You're just like, you meet, and then you're kind of always together from that point forward. That's the way it works. And so I would say if you're making out with women, it's like, why aren't you inviting them back to your place? If you're going to 2 or 3 different places like I talk about, like maybe you go to a wine and cheese bar to begin with, and then maybe you go to happy hour after that, and then maybe a place to eat some dinner or some place to shoot some pool or something like that. That way, by the third place you've gone, it's almost like you've had 3 dates in one date. And if you're kissing, fooling around, you can say, hey, you want to go back to my place and have a nightcap? Because you got a fridge at your place that's stocked with champagne and glass champagne flutes and maybe some orange juice so you can make mimosas, which are 1/4 part orange juice, 3/4 parts champagne, chocolate, body paint, whipped cream, the whole 9 yards. So you have everything ready. So if everything's going great, you say, hey, let's get out of here and go back to my place and have a little champagne party. And she'll be like, sure, because you're all over each other, and you just invite. Or when you're back at her place, if you're making out, if things are going really well and she wants things to go further, she'll say, well, you want to come in? And she'll invite you into her place. So there's something that you're doing obviously wrong. There's a lot of things I pointed out, little things. Number one, I can tell you don't know the material well enough. And so there's still a lot of little subtle mistakes that you're making without even realizing it that are blowing your chances here. And I would say what you need to do is go to the mall and start practicing more. You need to interact with more women because you're not able to tell the difference between women you got a chance with and women that are kind of lukewarm, because I think you're wasting your time with a lot of the girls that you're going out with and spending money on. So if you have a question or a topic you want me to cover in a future video newsletter, go to my website, click the Contact Me tab on the left-hand side of your screen, and send me 1 to 2 paragraphs max detailing your questions, your situation, your challenges. And you just got to give me several days to get back to you with a response, because I get a lot of email from the internet. And I also get a lot of it from my paying phone coaching customers. I obviously got to focus on their emails first, but be patient and I will get back to you. If you want to talk to me right away, the quickest way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session. You can do that by clicking the Products tab at the top of your screen and just follow the instructions. And if you want to get a copy of the Kindle version of my ebook, which I highly recommend, it only takes 60 seconds to download to any smartphone or electronic device. And what's great is it doesn't matter what electronic device you have. Amazon has created a free Kindle e-reader app that will allow you to read my book on any electronic device, PC, Android, iPhone, it doesn't matter. And I will talk to you soon.